on YouTube, please subscribe. And also make sure you check out Fair Territory every Thursday with Alana Rizzo and Ken Rosenthal. I caught most of the show just now until they told me that I need to turn the show off so we can do this show, but it was great. So make sure you check that out, or afterward on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, I just want to do a quickie shout out because I don't think we'll have time for this during the show since there was too much drama yesterday. But you guys see the heater that Corey Seager's on? Because it's still going.
Repeat.
8 homers, 8 games. Is that good? Do you think he knows about any records?
He can
He's
baseball.
pretty good.
He can really baseball. It's like somebody said he had 7 homers in 7 games yesterday when asked about if the Rangers were going to win or not. And the Diamondbacks continue, as they did in the World Series, to throw to him in situations where you might want to let someone else beat you. But
we did talk about that a lot, didn't we, last year in October? We did. So it continues. Props to Corey. Keep quietly doing your thing. I know he likes to do it that way. So he is a silent assassin in our sport. And congrats to Jonathan Papelbon. They had the ceremony yesterday. Good job, Pap. Gabrielle Starr, our friend, tweeting Pap's turn at the plate, and he brought Tom Caron, who works for Nesson, a drink. And he said on the mic, "We're drinking vodka tonight." Did he say it on the mic or he said it to him in person? I mean, I wasn't there, obviously. I would assume he said it on the mic at some point.
I would assume he said it on the mic.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool setup there, though. Like really I've never seen it done like that. Like the whole couches at home plate kind of like Boston does it right in a lot of things. Spending their money on their roster, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, ceremonies, all that is good.
Yeah, they do those really well. And congratulations, Pap, PD. Who was the other one? Trot Nixon, guy I played against so many times. So congratulations to those guys and Papelbon. But yeah, I mean, Boston knows how to put on a big show. They know how to put on a party. They know how to put on a big show for sure.
Mm-hmm. So they're Red Sox Hall of Famers, those 3 inducted. As far as the players that get in this year in this year's class, that's what he said to lead off the show.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. Jorge Lopez was a New York Mets reliever, DFA'd. Technically, when you're DFA'd, you're still with the team until they figure out what they're doing with you, but he's not going to be on the team anymore. So, and by the way, at a sub-4 ERA, but got tossed from yesterday's game, tossed his glove into the stands, which was awesome for one fan to be able to get some classic memorabilia. And then post-game, he said this.
The emotion, but that particular action of throwing your glove into the stands was unacceptable. Looking back on it, do you regret doing that?
No, I don't regret it. I think I've been looking the worst teammate probably in the whole MLB. So, whatever happened. So, whatever they want to do it, I'll be tomorrow here if they want me. Whatever they want to do. So, I'm gonna keep doing this thing. So I'm healthy on whatever on whatever to do. I'm ready to come back tomorrow. If they want me to be here, so I'll be here.
Okay. We're going to show the glove toss too. If you're watching right now, if you're listening on the pod, then watch later in case you missed it. I mean, it's been 16 hours or something like that, so you missed a lot. But a little more context, and then let's get into it. Carlos Mendoza, who's generally not a team meeting guy, plans to address the team after that. He did. This was from Anthony DiComo reading some of his tweets because Mendoza said it was unacceptable. They did have a team meeting, then they let the media in a little bit later than usual, and some of the other players said, yada, yada, we had a team meeting. The usual. DiComo also was one of multiple reporters, Steve Gelbs, I think, from the Mets also did this, that wanted to clarify if he said team or teammates, and he essentially said both. Did you say worst effing team or worst effing teammate? He's like, both. And DiComo said regarding confusion over whether Lopez said he was on, quote, the worst team or was, quote, the worst teammate, I'm told Lopez later explained his comments as a combination of both, the worst teammate on the worst team. And then one more from DiComo. He said, I want to be clear about this. Jorge Lopez was not DFA, designated for assignment, as in essentially let go by the team, because of any teammate confusion. He was DFA'd because he embarrassed the organization with his actions and words, throwing his glove into the stands, lying about meeting with management, and offering zero remorse. Go ahead, AJ.
First of all, what did he lie about meeting with the management? I must have missed that somewhere along the way because I never heard that one that he lied about. When did he lie about that? Before I start giving my thoughts, Scott.
Well, maybe because he said hopefully he stays with the team, but he already knew he was DFA'd. Something like that is my guess. But also here's the follow-up too from him. He posted on his Insta, whoever heard me, I said teammate. And what I said on the situation, I've been the worst teammate. Thanks, media, for making it worse. I also want to preface, Jorge Lopez going through a lot behind the scenes. I'm going off of, what was it, Boomer Esiason, who, former quarterback who's in the media in New York, said, that his son is going through a waiting for a transplant. I didn't get more specifics, but anyway, going through it right now. So you might think we're going to go in one direction. I don't think most people expect the direction that we're going to go, but go ahead.
First of all, let me say this. I've seen guys throw their glove in the stands before. They didn't get DFA'd. The only guy I ever saw do anything crazy, Jose Paniagua double-birded the White Sox fans once, but he was on the White Sox at the time. He got DFA'd. Listen, Jorge Lopez was frustrated, mad. The Mets have been in it right now. They're struggling. We've documented it. He got kicked out of the game. Probably shouldn't have got kicked out of the game. He was frustrated. He threw his glove in the stands. He has probably 100 gloves in his locker, or he has access to 100 gloves. So I don't know that. And as far as the lying, what he did, I don't know. He was just frustrated. They catch you right after the moment. It's so hard. This is one of the arguments that people have all the time. They want raw emotion, but you catch guys before they've had a time to calm down and think, and that's what obviously people want because they want the raw emotion. But, man, I feel for this guy right now. And I think if you listen to it, you hear him say teammate, and he was kind of taking the blame a little bit. This is a guy who's been through it a little bit before in the past, and this is not an excuse at all. But, gosh, man, I feel for the guy. He got DFA'd. If his kid is going through it, I feel for him. But, gosh, I've seen guys – Kratz, you've had to have seen a guy throw their glove. I've seen guys throw batting gloves in the stands. I've seen guys throw hats in the stands. I've seen guys throw gloves in the stands. I mean, I've seen guys throw all kinds of stuff in the stands, and they come back and play the next day. So there's obviously more to this story. But, man, I feel for Jorge Lopez because of the emotion. But at the same time, the Mets said they were embarrassed. They made a decision, and they've decided to move on.
I can side with the Mets saying that, hey, you know what? We're embarrassed. We're going to move on. They want to set a standard. I just don't know that this is the line they should draw in the sand. Not with a guy that, when I played with him in 2018, obviously we're going on 6 years now since that was, he was the most nice, engaged, wanting to learn English teammate that you can see from AAA coming up. And he got sent down 2 or 3 times in the season we played together. And he was like, okay. He's like, I'll see you later. He's like, good luck. I'll see you later. And just an incredible, incredible human being. And so is there more going on? Was it just the glove in the stands? Because Harper got thrown out of the game and he threw his helmet in the stands last year. I think it was the year before. I don't know what was the embarrassing part that the Mets are looking for or are looking at and saying, yeah, this is why we're DFAing him. But to me, you emotions, if you have somebody that doesn't have emotions, then you question, is this guy really in it? And he's one of their better bullpen pieces. He's actually needed. And I don't think at all he said team. I think he said teammate. And to me, the different reports I read, there was not an interpreter when they went back to him and tried to clarify his remarks, clarify exactly what he said. There was not an interpreter present. Obviously, I am not getting this firsthand. I'm getting it secondhand on different things that I researched people talking about. But he 100% said teammates.
Okay, so let's clear up some stuff. First off, Joel Sherman helped to tell a little bit of the story here when he tweeted last night that the team was planning to DFA him because of the glove throwing incident. And then he said, Lopez said he did not meet with Mets officials when he talked to reporters after the game, but a source said he indeed did meet with both David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza, and the Mets were DFAing the reliever. the Mets need to provide some transparency here. This is one time where I think right now they look terrible. First off, like you guys mentioned, we're tossing the guy from the team because he threw his glove because he's pissed because the team sucks right now. Really? Like, I'd like to hear more of an explanation on that. Like, you're that hard ass that one guy who's got a sub-4 ERA for a team that's ranked 19th or 20th in pitching in a pitcher's park is just getting rid of him. You're that good. You have to set that kind of example. You have someone like Kratz saying he's a good dude, and I'm sure many other teammates feel the same way. I've heard the same thing about him too. Like, over one incident like that wasn't dangerous, and guys get pissed off all the time. That's one. Number two, where is PR help? Interpreter, PR, etc. And if you're not, and if you felt like you were there and you did your job, then again, something should be said. Hey, this is what he said. He said team and teammate. He was wrong on that IG story afterward. Context is needed, especially in New York. You need transparency. Otherwise, in my mind, they should get slammed. This was completely mishandled from an organizational standpoint. PR looks messy here.
So, Scott, let me ask you this, and Kratz, let me know how you feel about this. The fact that he didn't say he was DFA'd, I actually give him credit for. If he already knew it, because they'll tell you, I mean, you've been DFA'd, I've been DFA'd. They're like, hey, don't talk to reporters. Don't say anything until we make an announcement. We want to announce it first. So actually the fact that he didn't say anything and they're like, oh, he lied, I guarantee you they told him don't say anything until we make a move, because if he goes out there and goes, I just got DFA'd, then the next question from the Mets people are like, oh, who's coming up? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? So I actually give the guy more credit for not saying he was DFA'd. And I know I was DFA'd with the Red Sox. They're like, hey, make sure you don't tell anybody. Get out of here before the media gets here. So, we can do the things without the media knowing. And I'm like, they're going to find out like an hour from now. But they're like, no, we, do us a favor. Do us a favor. I'm like, you guys just DFA'd me. Why would I do y'all a favor? Whatever. I wanted to get the hell out of there anyways. So to me, like, the fact that Lopez didn't say anything to me is kind of almost awesome, because if he should have been like, yeah, they just DFA'd me for throwing my glove in the stands. Then what would the Mets have said? Oh, no, it was blah, blah. Well, that's the reason they came out and said he embarrassed the organization. So actually, he should be getting kudos from people for not saying that if he already knew.
Can be embarrassing. It like what you say when you're embarrassed, like for him to not blow the Mets up and be like, yeah, if he had already had the meeting and already been DFA'd and he still went out there, to me, this is the guy that I played with, the guy that would still go out there and put himself out there. Clearly, he was embarrassed. Clearly, when the interview started, his head is down and he's like, he looks up. He's not like, yeah, you know what? I did what I did. Like, he was clearly distraught over what he did. And to me, I completely agree with what AJ said. Like, you get DFA'd, that's almost more embarrassing than, throwing your glove in the stands or getting kicked out of the game. Like, there's a shot to your pride when that happens. So for him to not say anything, kudos.
There you go. Well said. So Lopez will get picked up by another team and he'll thrive. Is he amazing this year? No. But he is a big league reliever. One incident that to me is not even that big of a deal. Sorry for showing emotion, because the team has been getting their asses kicked, and it happened again, not to mention what actually happened on the field, right? They got dusted by the Dodgers. Dodgers exploded in the 8th this time for late runs. Yeah, you're going to be pissed. He didn't punch someone. It's so soft. It's to me, this was just a mess, and I need more transparency. PR exists for fans to understand the perspective of what's going on, and right now I don't see it. So I think there needs to be more spoken. New York media crushes it on that front, right? You've got reporters that are going to keep asking questions, so we'll see what happens when they chat with Mendoza and anyone else that wants to speak on the Mets' behalf. But we need more here, in my mind.
He's a year and a half from being an all-star too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
don't even like bring up the fact of the things that he's gone through in his personal life. Like, he is a contributor on a baseball team, and he had a really hot first half, made the all-star team. Like, somebody's going to pick him up, and maybe a lot has happened in 6 years that he has become a bad teammate or somebody that, this is not just the first time. Maybe that's happened. It's not what I saw. If somebody asked me, hey, what kind of guy is this? I would give him 100% glowing marks.
I love hearing that. It makes me feel even more strong about where my thoughts are here. Let's get to Harper against Kyle Harrison and the San Francisco Giants. There was something in the air because it was the anniversary of Bryce Harper versus Hunter Strickland, which is crazy that it was already 7 years ago. Benches cleared in San Francisco, this time with a couple brushback pitches from Kyle Harrison. So how do we slice this one up? Bryce against the Giants. Bryce in the news here. Was he right to get pissed? I mean, there's 2 pitches that come very close to the face. Philly expert Erik Kratz want to start?
I mean, I'm not going to say that they were on purpose, but one made him mad. The second one made him even more mad because it was a foul ball. But I think how everybody handled it was good. Watching Harrison's reaction, he was like what when Harper was getting pissed. He wasn't trying to do it, but when you get 94 to 97 up at your grill twice, you can't. What is Harper's reaction supposed to be? Oh, it's okay, bro. Like that one, you know what? 2 strikes. I'm pushing you off the plate a little bit. He's pissed. Now it's 2-2. Ah, boy. Like you gotta say something, and you can see Harper isn't overreacting there afterwards. But I mean, cooler heads prevailed. But you can't not get 2 pitches that close to your chin and have no reaction.
Maybe Bryce Harper should have beat up the bat again. Oh, wait, he did that the at bat before where he didn't run. He hit the ground ball and didn't run, and then he just went in the dugout and destroyed his bat, right? I mean, listen, it happens. Nothing really came out of this. It's, his emotions. We just talked about emotions. He's an emotional guy, and he was mad. He had already had the at bat, like I said before, where he didn't run the ball out, and he went in the dugout and smashed his bat against the bench and did all that, and I've done it. It's a hard game, but listen, one was a foul ball, the other one was up and in. It didn't look like he was trying to do it. You could see Harrison's reaction. Yeah, Bryce said something. It's just ironic it happened on the 7-year anniversary of when him and Hunter Strickland went at it, which, by the way, I give them both credit. Strickland said he was going to drill him, he hit him, and Bryce went and got him.
Yeah, I loved that. I mean, that's a real fight. Most of the time nowadays, it's benches clearing, which is fine. We don't want to lose our stars left and right. But if either of you had that sequence happen, what would you do? What happened yesterday, not the Strickland stuff. What happened with Harrison and Bryce? So for you, AJ, for example, you get one pretty tight, then you get even tighter chin music. What would you do? Or what did you do back then? Did you bark a little bit at the pitcher like, yo, it's the big leagues, find the zone?
No, most of the time, listen, I was very fortunate. I got hit a lot. A lot. I got thrown out a lot and got hit a lot by a lot of people. I never had one up in here, though. Some triceps and some, the back and all that. But, yeah, I understand why guys get mad about up and in. It's just like you also have to read the room, though, a little bit and really be like, why would Harrison throw at Harper? Like, what's the reason? Did Harper do something? Like, that's the thing for me. Like, I get it, and you're trying to kind of say something. I don't know. I remember, one time a guy threw one up and in on someone else and kind of threw one at me, and I'm not going to say his name, and I kind of was like, hey, dude, like, you got to figure this out. And he did. But he was a young kid, and I was an older guy, so but nobody likes the ball up in their head. But, I mean, listen, again, it goes down to this, like I said about Strickland. If he does something and you don't like it, go get him. He's there. Go get him. And that's why I gave him credit last time. Go get him.
I know the second one wouldn't have happened to me. And it's not because I'm tough. It's because I would have leaned into the first one and been on first base down 0-2. You hit me? I'll take that base. I did get drilled one time, 2-0, after hitting a homer. And the team we were playing was notorious for throwing at guys. And nobody's trying to throw at me. But I got hit like in the upper shoulder, like my shoulder got in the way, so it didn't hit me in the face. And I got pissed. I don't know why I got pissed. Clearly, if you think about it, they're just, going to throw me a slider and I'll get out. So there's no point in throwing at me. They're going to throw at a good player in our lineup. But when it happens, sometimes it just like flips a switch.
It's a good perspective. I like it. We'll get some player perspective on all kinds of things going on in the sport right now from a dude who's off to a banging start with the Tigers so far this season, Matt Vierling. We're going to talk to him right after this.
Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of Foul Territory. Unified Healing is an innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. This technology promotes wellness and deep relaxation, and there are hundreds of locations across the globe. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifydhealing.com/foul to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/FOUL. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
We are now joined by Matt Vierling of the Detroit Tigers. Great to have you on, Matt. Where are you calling in from right now? Are you in like the stairwell at a ballpark?
Prison.
I am. I'm at the I'm in Fenway Park in the stairwell. The clubby. I wanted to do this in the dugout, but they started playing Blink-182 pretty loud. I thought it was pretty. It would kind of take over a little bit. So
All
I was like, can
the
you show me?
small things.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, but then we would get
Yeah.
flagged for copyright. MLB's super strict about that. So then this whole freaking interview would have turned off. So you actually did the right thing. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the streaming quality is perfect actually for some reason. So it's great. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Works out. Yeah.
You know what you should, Matt? You know where you should have gone? You should have gone in the cage, right, where the cages are in Fenway, and then open the door and let all the fans and had the sports bar. You know, and you could have taken fan questions as you were doing the interview because they have the cage where the fans can watch you. And so you could have just opened the door and said, "Hey, everybody, I'm doing this Foul Territory live. Anybody got any questions for me?" And just had all the massholes go, "Hey, fuck you, fucking Red Sox."
I know. I came here for the first time ever last year, and I mean, that place was absolutely bumping during BP or during the game. So I didn't play one game, and I'm trying to like get some work in and hit, and I mean, you could barely even focus just with how loud the music was going in there. It's pretty funny.
Hey, Matt, lots to get to on you personally, but also a couple things league-wise. So we were just talking about some brushbacks. Have you ever gotten chin music and then barked back at the pitcher because you were pissed about it?
I've never barked back at the pitcher, but I have gotten, some fastballs up and in or whatever it may be. I feel like, at some point everybody will get a little bit of that, but I've never really barked back. But yeah, I saw there's a little bit of that going around the league. So pretty cool to see.
Yeah, understandable, right? I mean, especially if you get a couple in a row and you got to protect the moneymaker.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, I was over there in Philly the year when Bryce got hit by Snell up in the hand. So, and I was over there the year before too when he got hit in the face. So I totally understand why some guys are a little, cautious when it comes to that, and definitely a little upset when some guys go up and in. I mean, yeah, you really don't ever want a pitch to go up and in there. So, yeah.
So you think that was what Harper's reaction was? Like, dude, I've gotten hit in the face one year, broke my hand the next year, and now you're letting an 0-2 pitch ride? Or is it just the fact that Harper plays with emotion?
I think it's a mix of both. I think that, the competitor he is, I mean, he doesn't, I don't want to speak for him, but obviously, you don't want to pitch up there. And then also with the history that goes along with that, everything that's happened with breaking a thumb and then also getting hit in the face. Yeah, I mean, I can totally understand why he's upset. And also, he's a competitor, so I totally understand it. Yeah.
Did you see the other big news yesterday, Matt, about Jorge Lopez? Did you see what he did yesterday where he threw his glove into the stands and then got DFA'd? Have you ever seen anybody throw anything in the stands besides Harper when he threw his helmet? I mean, I've seen gloves, hats, bats. I mean, I've seen batting gloves go into the stands. I've seen everything go into the stands, and I've never seen anyone get DFA'd after. So have you ever seen that happen?
No, never seen someone throw a glove into the stands. Yeah, I feel like you got to be pretty ticked off to do something like that. So I've never really seen that.
Really? Because I remember guys used to come in, pitchers used to come in, This was before there was nets, and you didn't have to like fully throw it as high. But there were pitchers that would come in and they'd just be like, they'd take their hat and they'd be like, take their glove and be like, and just throw it to the kid in the first row. And then they'd come in and they'd kick the trash can, whatever, or whatever.
Yeah.
There were times, listen, I would get mad and rip my batting gloves and I'd throw them to a kid in the stands. I mean, it's emotional. I mean, but, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe the size of the nets now, you really got to launch that thing. Maybe that's kind of, subsided, kind of minimized all the throwing in the stands. But yeah, that was pretty interesting to see yesterday. Yeah, I've never really seen a glove go up in there though.
Hey, hold on, Kratz, real quick before you go. By the way, it's because you went to Notre Dame and you Catholics, or you guys don't get angry.
Oh yeah, really level-headed. Yeah, our team, being with the Tigers, I mean, we got so many people who are Michigan fans or like Michigan alums. I feel like I'm always on the defense around our team, having to defend Notre Dame each and every day. It could be a grind sometimes, So.
And can you defend them? Like, let's be honest. Can you defend Notre Dame? Like, what is it defensible?
I think they're defensible. Yeah, I mean, lacrosse team just won the national championship.
Lacrosse.
I mean,
that's what we're going
lacrosse,
to. Lacrosse.
Hey, look, lacrosse. The football team's always pretty good. Obviously, I wish the football team, would close out the national championship at some point. But I mean, I feel like they're not in a conference. I always get a ton of grief for that as well. So it's I'm always on the defense around our team with the Michigan folk. It seems like every day.
Now, I know it doesn't apply this year because you're just all-star level Matt Vierling, like just elite superstar. But going back to the Lopey thing, have you ever done anything that you're like, oh, man, I can't believe I did that? Like, I could get released. I mean, I know how you kind of like, you were kind of bumped on and off the roster. Like, it was like you had to earn your spot. You had to really have success to be in the big leagues. And even sometimes then, like, they might send me down. You ever done anything that you're like, shoot, I hope the organization doesn't cut me for that?
I can't say that I've ever done anything like that, probably for the reasons that you say. I feel like I was always on the fence coming up, so I really didn't want to do anything that would impact that. I mean, I wouldn't say I've done anything to kind of, hurt my standing with the organization or anything like that. I've really tried to stay away from, doing anything crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously you make mistakes in games and everything like that. And you're like, oh my God, am I going to get sent down? But I've never done anything crazy that anything crazy that kind of, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if they're going to want me back next year or anything like that. But yeah, it's wild.
No, don't try it. I used to do it all the time. Trust me.
Yeah, and they never cut you. They never cut you. That's why you're not a grinder.
Because he's a good player, man.
They did a couple times.
They did a couple times. Right past some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works sometimes. But all right, so listen, you've been hot like for the last week, right? Bunch of homers, bunch of RBIs. We're not going to try to jinx it here, but did you go to the Tigers and say, can we bring the City Connects on the road? Because every time you guys wear them City Connects, Vierling's going deep. So between you and Scooble, I feel like if he's pitching and you're hitting, you guys might have the City Connects on. We could have a City Connect versus City Connect in Boston.
No, yeah. We were thinking about bringing them, but I think we lost that second game of the doubleheader yesterday. Maybe that nixed it, but we were thinking about bringing them. I mean, we had won 4 in a row. We were playing well. The offense was hot. I don't think we ended up bringing them. I could be wrong. I don't know everything, but I don't think we brought them. I know I was talking to our head clubhouse guy, Dan Ross, and he was pretty stressed out because I think he got a late notice that we might be bringing them. So he's like rushing to get everything packed, and he was pretty stressed out running around the locker room. But yeah, I don't know if we brought them. I kind of hope we did, but if we didn't, that's all good.
I got one for you personally to try and make it as simple as possible. What do you got going a little different this year? From my viewpoint, without getting super baseball-y technical, a little more aggressive, but I also want to give you a part 2 to this question because I do notice that, unless I've got this wrong, you have no stolen bags this year. And You are up there in sprint speed. Dude, you're an athlete. You're one of the faster dudes in the league.
I know.
As sick as you've been.
know.
Does it maybe have anything to do with you saying, you know what? If I get on first, I kind of failed.
No.
I should be hitting dingers because I got that EV, that exit velocity now.
Dude, I need to steal some bags. I really want to be better in that category. But as far as like approach or hitting or anything like that, I'm just trying to go with the flow. I feel like everybody's got some feels that work for them, and I kind of found a couple cues that I like, and they kind of started working for me. Kind of started being able to get to inside pitches a little bit better. I mean, it's been great this past week. I mean, we got a long ways to go, but yeah, as far as the stolen bags, it's got to be a little bit better.
No, stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. You have the speed. We're going to throw your coaching staff under the bus, okay? No. I'm doing it. If you don't go into Hinchy's office and say, AJ, Kratz told me that I need to get that bag, and not just the paper bag, I mean the actual extra large bags that they have out there now.
The actual second base bag, yeah.
Actual second base. And then next pitch, give me that green light, and I'm going to go to third.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea, Kratz. Yeah, I think, maybe I need to talk to AJ. I don't know. But I think it's on me. I gotta be a little bit more aggressive on the base pass. So
No, he's holding you up. I know he's holding you up. He's always over there, making sure, hey, 2 outs. They're giving Riley Green the one. Kerry Carpenter, he's got the one hand. They're stopping you.
Yeah, no, I mean, those guys rake, man. I can't blame them half the time. You got to let those guys hit. You know what I mean?
It's better to hit with somebody from second. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. You are right about that. Yeah.
Matt, listen to me. I got the perfect way for you to do this. Go up to that little person that coaches third for you, Joey Cora, and tell him that I said to let you steal whenever you want. And if he has a problem with it, he can come find me, okay? And then he'll just shut up and run away. He'll take his little hat and he'll point at the ball and say, just go steal, right? The ball's
Point
over there.
Ball.
No shit, Joey. The ball went over the fence. I know where it is.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Dude,
tell Joey.
Joey's awesome, man. That guy is the most locked in third base coach. He is. I mean, you could get in, hit a big triple, like wanting to celebrate whatever it is, and that dude's pointing out the ball behind first base. Like it doesn't matter where that thing is. When you slide into third base, he's pointing out where the ball is.
Good. Tell him I said he was a terrible third base coach when I had him, so you can make sure you pass that information along. Okay.
I'll tell him that for you. I'm sure he'll love it.
He caused me to step on Aaron Boone's back once. If you haven't seen the video, Google it. But
really,
yeah. So it's a whole. We don't have time to get into that. But I got to ask you about. You did something that very few people in the world have done. Okay. Do you know what I'm going to say? And you did it yesterday.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
You homered up Paul Skeens. I mean, tell me about it. 11 pitch at bat, and then you're like, oh, you got me that time? Watch this one, Mr. Mustache, Mr. First-round pick guy. Whack! And then you get to trot.
I really don't know how that happened. I mean, dude, he's a stud. I mean, he started throwing that splinker thing or splitter, whatever it was. It kind of reminded me of that Johan Duran guy's pitch from Minnesota. It's like a 98-mile-an-hour splitter. It's kind of similar. He throws it like 95, 96. But, dude, he looked great yesterday. He had good stuff all across the board. I felt like he was throwing the splitter a ton, and then the slider or sweeper, and then out of nowhere he'd had 101 in the back pocket. So I don't know how that happened. I think I just guessed at a slider first pitch, and it kind of backed up a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna remember that one just because how much of a stud that guy is. Kind of cool.
Yeah, you're a stud. But now they're saying for this series, Boston is going, yeah, he's got slider bat speed, so make sure you don't hang a slider to him. You're gonna be peppering that Fenway Park wall over there, the Green Monster.
The pack. Yeah,
the pack. Yeah, you pack the car. But my question for you is, we talk about his fastball. We talk about Skeen's fastball. If you had looked at the scoreboard or had not looked at the scoreboard after his fastball, would you have been like, I didn't know that was 101? Doesn't mean it's not fast. We're not throwing shade, but we talk about like the dead zones fastballs or those fastballs with late life. did it look like a fastball that was hittable, or is it just the fact that he has so many other pitches that he can mix in that it still comes at you kind of quick?
No, it looked like 100. Yeah, I mean, I think he throws. He's pretty. I mean, he just throws with pretty relative ease. Like it just seemed pretty smooth, and maybe that made it feel like you could get to it. But he would throw his splitter. He started throwing that so much, and then once he would throw like the 98, 99, 100 at the top of the zone, it felt like 100. So, yeah, if there was no clock there, or no radar gun, I feel like, I fouled off a ball yesterday. It was like 100 miles an hour up and in, and I turned. You could see the video maybe, but I turned to the umpire. I'm like, I have no idea where I just hit that ball. I know I made contact, but I have absolutely zero clue where that ball went, just because it got on me so quick. So that was in that 11 pitch at bat. So yeah, he's throwing hard, man. It was firm.
Yeah, well, you're in an exclusive club right now to homer up that stud rookie. So it's good stuff, dude. Keep it up. Keep it up. All right. I got one more for you, actually. You mentioned how you talked to the ump. So I'm sure you saw the news about Angel Hernandez. What was the reaction from the team? And, we've talked to some other players about this. We have a lot of players on super young teams this week, and yours is too. But what was the reaction when people saw that, he's been kind of the face of bad umpiring in baseball over the last couple of years? So what was your thought? We know there are a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah. I don't really think we had that much of a reaction as a team. I can't really think of like anybody really saying much or anything like that. People say what they can about his umpiring. The times I've, talked with him, he's been a great guy. But yeah, I don't think we had much of a reaction as a team to it or guys talking about it all that much in the clubhouse. But yeah, I'm sure everyone saw it and stuff like that.
I like to pit old teammates versus new teammates. So this is what I do to put you in an awkward situation. I know
great.
My other question was going to be who's better looking, you or Garrett Stubbs, but that one is just a quick you or Garrett Stubbs, and then I have one more pitting against a teammate.
Better looking, me or Garrett Stubbs? Stubby's a good looking dude, man. I'll give Stubby the slight edge. I gotta be close. It's like a 1A, 1B deal right there.
Okay,
I'll give it to
that's
him.
fair.
Yeah,
second place.
Yeah.
If you lose by a game, you still lose. But my last question is the last one, and we'll let you go so you can hit in the small cage at Fenway Park. But Ranger Suarez or Tarek Skubal if you got to win one game at the end of this season?
Man, that's putting me on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You better
right
say
now,
Skubal. You better say Skubal.
No.
He's on your team.
No. I'm going with Skubal. He's been absolutely. He's been absolutely lights out. His mentality when he gets on the mound is like he's coming right at you. And it's been pretty impressive just to watch him go out and do his thing. So I'd give the edge to Skubal right now. But I'll tell you what, coming up with the Phillies, and I used to face Ranger in spring training, and he was always like 2 years ahead of me. So he'd be on like the AAA team, and I'd be on like high A, and he absolutely would carve us up. I always thought he was the best arm that I faced in the Phillies system. Like it's so smooth. Everything comes out of the same slot. Everything's moving. Nothing's in the middle of the plate. And then also like if you hit anything near him, he'll just gobble everything up, throw it to first with ease. So he's been pitching great too. But I'll give the edge to Skubal. He's been incredible. Yeah, it's
all coming together. Skubal's a better interview. I can say that with confidence. So we'll at least give him that. So Matt, great to have you on, dude. Appreciate the time. Keep doing your thing. All right, we'll catch you later this season.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Matt Vierling, Detroit Tigers, from the underbelly of Fenway Park. It's a great connection, Fenway, thank you.
Dude, he wasn't in the underbelly. That is not the underbelly.
What do you call that?
He was
there was sun. There was sun. That's not the underbelly.
That is definitely not the underbelly.
Not in the dungeon. What would you call that?
He was like with the
Concourse.
people. Yeah, he was out with the people.
Oh, okay.
The
Anyway,
underbelly,
Kratz,
the underbelly
you
would
could
have had a
tell-
rat
Kratz,
this big that would have walked through.
Kratz, you could tell who never played.
I can actually say forever that I was naked by the hot dog stand in Fenway Park. Just saying.
I mean, you can't just drop that and then say, let's move on.
The hot dog stand on the third base side, I was butt naked because during COVID, our locker room was all out on the concourse. They laid turf down. And so, I can always say, anytime you go to Fenway, even to the point where my son and I went for the Yankees and Red Sox wild card game back in 21, I think that was, or 22 maybe. I forget which year it was. But anyway, I was like, Bud, right here was my locker. I can always say I was butt naked right in front of the hot dog stand.
You're one of very few that has pulled that off. Maybe someone from the 04 Red Sox pulled that off at some point, but not many in Red Sox history. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
All right, before we charge the damn mound, let's remind everyone about the Foul Territory custom Teaser Pucks. There they are. Teaser Energy. Need a little boost. Also, in the baseball world, we hate nicotine, tobacco, all that dip. So this is your alternative solution. Tell your friends. FT Teaser Pucks are available right now at teaserenergy.com. We also have a promo code that can help you out even more. The pucks themselves are a little under $5 anyway. So if you want a little piece of FT history, here they are for a limited time. Very nice. Very nice. Good job.
Does that make you feel like you're at an EDC?
Yeah,
I'm not throwing shade at the other flavors, but easily the two best flavors.
Agreed.
Easily.
That's why we picked them. And it's the first ever to have two flavors in one. First ever in Teaser history. So use discount code FOUL, FOUL, for 20% off your first order at teaserenergy.com. And now let's charge the damn mound.
He's charging the mound.
I want to start with the St. Louis Cardinals. Do we owe them an apology as they're back to the 500 mark and they've won 12 of 15 games? They handled the Reds. Do we owe them an apology, or do they still have a long ways to go? I certainly haven't been too kind about their future. I'm not saying they're terrible. I think they were going to be better than last year, but I did a couple recent Cardinals podcasts too, and they've gotten really excited, some fans out in St. Louis, and I'm like, let's pump the brakes. I still think this is a peak 500-ish team. Maybe I'm off. I will give a ton of credit to some of the starters they picked up in the offseason. They're making a huge difference. This is not just John Mozeliak's fault right now. I mean, they are not a great roster yet, but tell me if I'm onto something or not. Good pickups still for me, not a great team, but looking like a better team lately. AJ, is that a fair evaluation?
Yes, they got hot. They beat Baltimore. They swept Baltimore, first team in 2 years. They beat the Cubs, who are really struggling offensively right now. And now they're beating up on the Reds, who have been a disappointment. So I feel like, they're doing better. I mean, are they going to make the playoffs? And, everyone, Fangraphs or whatever, whoever does the projections had them winning like 89 to 90 games. Are they that good of a team? I don't know about that. But listen, give them credit. Give Ollie Marmol, Dr. Phillips Highgrad, and John Mozeliak, who was great when he came on our show, some credit. But I don't know that they're good enough. I mean, are they better than the Brewers? Are they better than the Cubs over the 162? I don't know, but we'll see. And they deserve credit for getting back to 500. Some we talked about a team like the Astros needed to do, and now they're back in it.
Definitely credit getting back to 500, but this is why when you create a hole that they dug themselves in with a leader at the top of the division in the Brewers, you've played hot to get back to the point where you're at. And people will say, well, 4.5, that's not so bad. Like, people have the Cubs in contention still. They're 4.5 behind the Brewers. Like, you did all this, you played as well as you could play, and you're still 4.5. To me, I just think there's too many holes in their inconsistency. And maybe during this 15-game stretch where they win 12 games, they've had a little bit more lineup consistency. So can they continue that? Some of that has to do with health. Some of that has to do with decisions that are made when they're making the lineup. So that's where they have to continue it. And the reality is their season's a month shorter than everybody else's, because if they don't climb out of it, if they're not closer than 4 games, to me, they're going to start selling some pieces off.
Yeah. Milwaukee is the biggest problem for teams like St. Louis in the division this year. But I will also say the Reds have been the biggest help. I mean, they swept the Dodgers. It's not like the Reds are bad. There's talent there, but man, they've been inconsistent. Very, very frustrating team to watch right now. And good for St. Louis. But that's the team that many thought would be much more of a problem than they're turning out to be. Yeah, the Cubs are going through it right now. If you want to get the day-to-day, Northside Territory is out there on an every other day basis to cover the lack of offense. They've had the worst offense, I think, in the past month or so. It's been really bad. It's going to turn around. There's some dudes that are not swinging the bats well, but I still have my power rankings right now. I was definitely wrong about the Brewers, but right now I've got Milwaukee 1, Chicago 2. I've got St. Louis 3, Pittsburgh 4, Cincinnati 5.
What?
Power rankings.
What?
Oh, no, Ellie! I love you,
Ellie on line 1. Ellie, God, I am so sorry. Ellie, I am so sorry.
It's one player. One player can't carry a team.
He heard what you said, Scott, okay? He heard
That's
what you
fine.
said.
And he agrees. He wants to be in LA.
You know, the expected stats, expected record, the Cardinals are actually getting lucky according to the expected formula for wins and losses. They should be worse. And to me, I think, yes, power rankings, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you, because power rankings are up to current and not what is going to happen. But if I were to guess who is going to finish above, when you have 2 studs in the lineup, I know Jared Jones had a little clunker yesterday. To me, Pittsburgh might finish above the Cardinals. And I still think the Reds are going to come back. TJ Friedel's back. I think, if they can just somehow get this lineup going, their starting rotation is nice. So we could be looking at another Cardinals last place finish this year.
AJ, real quick, want to go 1 through 5? And then we'll bring in Ken. What do you got on NL Central power rankings in your head right now? No, you don't want to do it?
No, I want Ken's power rankings.
Fine.
Ellie!
Ellie! Poor Ellie!
Run it. Just hope that Ken sometimes feels bad for me. I don't know. Probably not. But FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal here. What?
First time in Ken's life he hasn't had a collared shirt on. When he was born, he had the collared shirt on with the buttons. Like when Ken goes to sleep, he wears a collared shirt with buttons. This is the first time I've ever seen Ken Rosenthal not in a collared shirt with buttons.
All right, Scott, here is the most predictable thing on this show today. AJ commenting on my attire. Now, I'm wearing a Baseballism t-shirt. Baseballism's a new sponsor of ours. We wore it on Fair Territory. So, AJ, there's your explanation. Would you like to see my slippers, my shoes, anything at all that might strike your fancy?
Will your butler go get your slippers for you and put them on your feet while we watch?
Scott, let's me and you talk.
Yeah, exactly. And before we get into the NL Central, I just want to ask you about the division as a whole. I will mention this because sometimes when we do these segments, there will be people in the YouTube comments who are like, oh, I don't like the AJ, Ken, back and forth, whatever. And then there's some, of course, that love it. I met a fan recently who actually said, I met someone in person, so it's a real person, it's not a bot, that he loves it. He feels like it's, whatever. He had some comparison of some TV show, and he's like, I love the back and forth with AJ and Ken. Don't ever stop that. I was like, trust me, even if I asked, they wouldn't. So just wanted to throw that out there. And now let's get to biz. Do you want to power rank the NL Central, or at least give us your thoughts on where we're at? Because the Reds have been disappointed, like we covered, and the Cardinals are currently the team we're talking about because they're on a run.
I'll power rank them. And you've got to go with the Brewers first. As of right now, I probably would put the Cardinals second because they're finally playing the way they thought they would play. Still like their rotation, the way it's going anyway. I had some questions going into the season. Then I'll go with the Cubs, and the Cubs certainly have the most potential of any of these teams. Then the Reds, then the Pirates. And I know, yes, the Pirates have Skeens and Jared Jones, and that's great. Nick Gonzalez is playing really well. But with them, I'll believe it when I see it. And I guess you could say the same for any of these teams. But the Brewers have done this time and again. The Cubs have more established players than probably any of these teams. The Cardinals are the Cardinals. So I love the Pirates, what they're doing here, and I'd like to see more. But at the same time, I can't put them into that upper echelon of that division.
Is the heat off Ollie Marmol? Is it because Yadier Molina and Skip Schumacher are still hanging out there? Is the heat off Marmol, or is this a full 162 games, playoffs or no playoffs, evaluation for him this year?
It's always a 162-game evaluation. And just because they're playing better, Eric, doesn't eliminate what they did the first, 5 weeks of the season. So managers who are in tenuous positions, and I would think that's fair to say about Ollie Marmol, they're always going to be under scrutiny. And that's the nature of it, even for the best managers. So we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But the fact that they're playing better kind of eases the tension around this club in general. And that's something that needed to happen.
What about Mozeliak? He's also been taking some serious heat, Ken. Is if them finishing over 500 and having this push and maybe getting to the postseason, does that take the heat off of him? Because he's also taken a lot the last couple of years.
If anything, he's the one under more scrutiny because, yes, he's the president of baseball operations. Now, we can talk about heat all we want. The only heat that matters is the heat that comes from the owner. And the owner, Bill DeWitt, to this point, has been nothing but supportive of John Mozeliak. Now, if they finish in a bad way, whether it's below 500, whether it's fourth or fifth place, however you want to describe it, whether it's simply out of the playoffs, yes, they are going to have to take a hard look at where they're at. But for now, they're sort of playing better again. Mason Wynn looks like one of the better young players in the league. It's intriguing to me what they might be. I'm not convinced yet. They've got to play better for a much longer period, but they still have a number of players, veteran players, who understand what it takes to get there, and that should be something of a difference maker for them.
I want a little behind the scenes with the interviewman that you are, Ken, because we've had some umpire. We have a segment, the ump show, probably 4 out of 5 days on Foul Territory here, and it just seems like it always comes back to we don't have access to the umpires. How much access we want, I don't know. But with the calls that have been made and the ejections and the vagueness, have you, person who has more access to pretty much anybody in baseball, ever gotten enough access to umpires or comments that you're satisfied with? Or is this something that MLB just constantly is like, nope, not even Ken Rosenthal?
The way it's generally done, Eric, is that when a questionable call is made or a call that people want to know more about, understand better, then a pool reporter will be assigned one-on-one to talk to the umpire. That pool reporter will come from the press box. He'll be one of us, and he or she will ask the appropriate questions. Maybe that reporter will check with other reporters before going downstairs, but it's not a situation where they have press conferences. And maybe there should be more of that. I'm not sure. The pool reporter system, I hate to say this, it generally works out okay. You generally get answers to questions. So I don't know that system is broken necessarily. The bigger question when it comes to umpires, from a fan's perspective, the way I see it is they want more accountability with their job performance. That was the whole question with Angel, right? Hey, this guy routinely screws up big. Why isn't he held accountable? That, to me, is the bigger issue than media access. There is media access. It's maybe not ideal. Maybe a press conference setting would be more appropriate. The players certainly have to face that kind of scrutiny. But at the same time, this is the system that the league and umpires have agreed upon, and we don't have a whole lot of say in it.
True. You're right. I wish there was more, but it is what they've collectively bargained, Ken, and we all know that collectively bargained things cannot be touched because it is collectively bargained. Now,
players have benefited from that concept too, AJ.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that Certain people have more collectively bargained rights than others. But let me ask this. We just talked about the Cardinals, right, and how they've made it back to 500. One of the teams we kept saying, hey, they got to get to 500 is the Astros. Well, they're playing the Mariners right now. The Mariners have won the first 3 of the 4. They're going for the sweep today. If the Mariners win today, is this the nail in the Astros coffin? Are they done? They beat Verlander. Obviously, Christian Javier's down. Framber struggled. Arrighetti goes today. So could this be the nail in the Astros coffin that all these fans are like, oh, it's a great day when the Astros lose? Could this be it? We see the end of the Astros dynasty?
I don't know. I certainly think they have the ability to compete for at least a wild card. And they've come back a little bit, played better. This series has been disappointing for them. Seattle's amazing. Their pitching is incredible. The starting pitching in particular. This team is tied for 29th in the league in runs scored, and yet they are who they are. They're leading the division. Admittedly, with the Rangers banged up and waiting for some injured guys and not playing particularly well, and the Astros not playing well either. But I will ask you this, AJ. If you were on the Astros right now and it was May 30th and I asked you, hey, man, you done? What would you say? You would never say that. You would never think that. And from an outside perspective, you might have that opinion. But one thing this game teaches all of us repeatedly is not to say a team is done, it's over, or anything like that, because so often things change. And when you're talking about that kind of scenario, the Houston Astros are a team where things can change because we've seen this time and time again from them. I don't think they're done.
Okay, Ken. Just hold on, Scott. I got to get on Ken here for a second. First of all, I can officially say this real quick. White Sox done. Angels done. A's done. Marlins done.
Duh.
Rockies done. Okay, you said, oh, you can never say it's done. It's only May 30th. Those teams, they're done, Ken. Done.
I agree with you. Those teams are done. I'm talking about more credible teams.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Ken said it. I didn't say that. Ken did.
No,
you agree.
Hey, AJ, did you say Mets done?
For the literal person out there, yes, that is correct. I said that incorrectly. I think AJ knew what I was talking about, but he loves a little gotcha moment. He got me.
Gotcha.
AJ, did you say Mets?
No,
did you say Mets
I
done?
missed the Mets because I was.
Oh, he didn't say the Mets.
No, they're not done, Ken. They did not say they were done. They said
they are done.
Gloves in the stands, but they are not done.
They are done. So I know this was covered on Fair Territory, but we would like to dive into it as well. We spent a good amount of time at the top of the show going over this. There's still a lot of fan chatter that I think we should try to clear up. You know, some fans are like, oh, whoever was covering this, like, you know, I'm friends with these people, so I can say Anthony DiComo, who covers the Mets, Steve Gelbs, who covers the Mets. Tough job to interview someone, have some confusion about what was said, and then you do your job. You go back and make sure that you clarify what was said. So what's your perspective on that part? Because I know you've been in situations like that before, and it can be tough. You've got to go back to him. There's a PR component, which I'm still confused about, because if there was something misconstrued, where's the interpreter? Where's the PR to help clarify this?
My initial reaction to this when I saw the aftermath, not the interview, but just how it was handled by the writers covering the team, was that it was handled well by them because they didn't take the words at face value. They didn't play gotcha. They went back, it sounds like not once, but twice, to check whether they had that translated properly or whether they understood it properly. It was in English. Now, where the interpreter was and why this wasn't done in Spanish, I'm not sure. Jorge Lopez was obviously distressed in that moment. What he meant, what he didn't mean is almost incidental here. I know AJ said in the previous segment that guys don't always get DFA'd for throwing their glove in the stands, but he threw it in the stands, then said he regretted it, or didn't regret it, and basically said he didn't talk to the Mets people when he had. They had reason to DFA him. They can DFA him for that. I have no problem with that. And I understand fans out there saying, hey, these guys have to be treated better, the players, as far as media is concerned. But in this case, it sure seemed to me that the writers did try to go back and clarify. Again, not once, but twice. And I'd be the first to say if I thought there was something handled wrongly there by our people, the writers. But it didn't sound like it. And the question I have, guys, is, yes, where was the interpreter? They have a good interpreter. and he does a really good job. And I don't know why things got lost in the translation that should not have been. This should have been really clear what was meant. And they went back and he said he meant to say he was the worst teammate on the worst team. And now this morning he put out an Instagram saying that's not what he meant. It's an unfortunate circumstance because here's a guy, he's trying, he's speaking English, and he's dealing with reporters, but I'm just not sure where the wires were crossed there. I want to make one other point on Lopez, and we made this point on Fair Territory as well. It's a guy who stepped away last season for a little bit with mental health issues. I'm not sure if there's anything going on now. I understand he has a child who's ill. This all has to be factored into the equation as well, and I don't know what the Mets exactly were thinking, why they felt this move was necessary, but at the same time, when a player conducts himself like that in New York, it's not going to go well.
I mean, our guy said other players have done things, have had frustrating actions, and if it was a superstar, obviously nothing happens besides maybe a little chat behind the scenes. I just felt like it was too harsh. I mean, on the personal opinion side of things, like, sure, the guy's not having an incredible season, but he's certainly serviceable as a major league reliever. Is this not a moment to have a little behind the scenes conversation with someone? I mean, he, as far as I know, has always been spoken about really highly. Kratz said he's one of the best teammates he's had. Yes. So I just feel like when a team is going through it like this right now, is this just an easy out for them to be like, well, we don't accept this. This is
an easy out. Yeah, it's absolutely an easy out for them. And Scott, it easily could have been handled the other way. You're absolutely right. They could have said, listen, Jorge's had some issues off the field. We are sympathetic to what's going on with him. He had a bad day, and we're going to go forward. For whatever reason, and we don't know what else might have been going on behind the scenes here. We don't. They chose to make this decision. This decision is not indefensible based on what happened. You can certainly DFA a guy for less than this, but at the same time, could they have chosen another course? Sure, they could have. No question.
All right, Ken. So one good thing about this, though, no one's talking about the Mets getting their ass kicked by the Dodgers for 3 straight games. So everyone's talking about this. So
or being 11 under, or being 16 games out of first place, or 6 out of the wild card, or failing in Steve Cohen's 4th year of this 5-year plan. Yeah, no one's talking about that. Well, they're talking about it.
Yeah, but now it's all of a sudden, no, if you throw your glove in the stands, you can't be a Met. So I get it. Listen, it works.
No,
I understand what you're saying, AJ. And that's probably part of this. And you guys know this too. I don't know that either of you played for a New York team. Oh, Eric, you played for the Yankees, right? Okay. Yep. So it's a little bit of a different animal there. There is more media. The teams, at least the Mets at times, can be reactive to what's going on in the media, and this factors into it. So that is part of the equation here. If it's Kansas City or Cleveland or any smaller market, even LA, a different kind of market, maybe this doesn't happen the way it did, or doesn't unfold in the fashion that it did.
I've got one more follow here on the Mets before you jump. How do we see this playing out? I mean this in 2 ways. Number one, they're likely not making the playoffs. I think Steve Cohen is visibly pissed even from his tweets, and I would think that they're going to sell as many pieces as they can at the trade deadline. Ones that make sense, not guys that are locked up long-term or, necessarily some core player. It's not like they're trading Lindor, but you know what I'm saying? Could they be, again, just like last year, a team that trades off anything that they can that's worth trading off on the short term? That's one. And then 2, how does that play out into the next offseason? I know we're going way ahead here, but for me, I think the Mets are going to make 4 or 5 trades of major players on their team that are on 1 or 2 years left in their deal. And I think they're going to go nuts in the offseason because this is part of their 2-year plan from last year that they told Verlander and Scherzer.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. As for the deadline, I hate to hedge my bets and not say they're done to satisfy AJ, who's like a tabloid guy now, but there are 2 months left. They're going to let this play out. The way it's trending right now, guys, there's no question they would be a seller. No question. And if they feel like, even if they play better, but they're really not going to be at the end of the season where they want to be, they can still sell. So odds are that happens. And yes, they will trade Alonso in that scenario. They will trade a number of their other players, Severino, all the guys on shorter terms, for sure. That might make the most sense for them as we look at this going forward, but we have to give them, at least mentally, the idea or the chance to come back. Maybe they play a little bit better the next month. They played pretty well the first month. So that's possible. Now, this offseason is really interesting because the anticipation is that they're going to go hard after Juan Soto, and I would expect that that's going to be the case. My question is, one, is Juan Soto enough? This team has multiple issues. And two, is Juan Soto going to want to walk into Citi Field and play for this team when he might have an equal or better offer from another team, mainly the team he is with now? That, to me, is something of a problem for the Mets. One, they need more than Juan Soto. And two, all things being equal, why would he go there? They have not shown a track record of success of late. It's in fact been something of a messy situation for several years now. So I don't know where this goes. And there's been talk about their core. Alonso, Lindor, McNeil, Diaz to some extent. But really the position guys are who we're talking about. That core has not been all that productive. I forgot Nimmo in that equation. That's been a disappointing group. And if that's the case, if this is not the group going forward that you're going to win with, well, then where are you? And then does that plan that you told Verlander and Scherzer about, all out in 25, does it really come to fruition the way you want? Or do you have to delay it even more and kind of try to retool on the fly?
All right, Ken. So yes, I'm going to London next week. So yes, you know where tabloid started? In London. So I'm very heavy tabloid right now. But before we go, tabloid question for you. Who's more reactive? You said the New York teams, Mets or Yankees?
Mets.
Okay. That's what I figured you were going to say.
That's been, the Yankees, I mean, Brian Cashman, of all the general managers in baseball, might be the fiercest individualist who pays, I wouldn't say no attention to the media. I wouldn't even say the least attention, but he does what he's going to do. He's not worried. Now, Stearns will be like that too. I don't have any question about that, but ownership in the past, especially the Wilpons, were very media conscious. Steve Cohen might not be as media conscious, but certainly as a franchise, as an organization, they're not unaware of what's going on. Whereas the Yankees, especially in Cashman's case, you've seen him over the years. He'll do his thing and defy whoever he needs to defy. That's how comfortable he is after a quarter century as their general manager.
Good call. Good combo. Ken, thank you so much. We will talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal with us on FT, and he was on Fair Territory. There it is. A little promo. Mondays and Thursdays. Thursday is live. If you have questions, go for it. I saw in the chat on the show earlier today that questions were coming in fierce right away at the top of the show. So before we get to our next guest, I do actually have a question for you guys that was asked on Fair Territory, and I think is actually a better question for the player perspective. Take the teams out of it, even though you know who they are, right? Mets and Yankees. This has to do with the question. They asked about Juan Soto, and someone was like, would you rather be dumb rich, biggest contract in baseball history, and get a bigger offer from the Mets, but go to the Mets, a team that you don't know about, you haven't played with, and at least at the moment is much more of a mess on the field, right? So let's say it's $600 million, or the Yankees offer you $525, and you've been there and you love it, and say they have a successful season. Which one would you choose? They're like, there's a higher chance of being miserable, but you could make more money. And they didn't throw the money out there, but I'll do it. It's like, I'm sure everyone has their threshold, but would you take 75 mil more if it's present day value, everything's the same, to go to the Mets if you're Juan Soto in the offseason? Kratz, you go first. Put me inside, not Juan Soto's head, but just like the player perspective of where the line is there.
Juan Soto wants to win. There's an opportunity for him to have a legacy with the Mets. If he wins with the Yankees over a 15-year contract, he's another cog in a historic Yankees system. He wins over 15 years with the Mets, he will forever be the greatest Met to ever play.
Wow. I didn't expect that take, but I respect it. AJ?
Listen, as someone that took less money multiple times to stay in Chicago and go to Chicago, it's about being happy. And I think if you're happy in a place, and he loves it in the Yankee land, and he loves being a Yankee. And I mean, listen, honestly, I get $75 million is a lot of money, and most people will never see that money in their lifetime. But if he's happy in New York, he did, and he loves what they're doing, and let's say they go out and win a World Series, and he's like 525 versus 600, I'd have a hard time. I might have to give up that $75 million. But listen, I'm not Juan Soto, I'm not Scott Boras' agent, but listen, I took less money multiple times to stay in Chicago, and it was because I was happy and I liked where I was, and you can't put a monetary value on that. And over the grand scheme of your life, are you going to miss that $75 million? I mean, not unless you're buying planes, trains, and boats. I don't know.
Yeah, some do, some don't.
Prestige worldwide.
Yeah, and you can
Prestige
still
worldwide.
be prestige worldwide if you get 525. So I've heard. Let's bring in our next guest. We'll ask him about this first, but it's Magnus Data Dish time right now with our guy Jonny Gomes, who's going to join us throughout the season. It's Jonny Gomes from Magnus Data Dish time.
Johnny,
Like
hold up. Johnny.
Intense music. Yes.
Johnny, is it data or data?
Wow. Tomato. At the end of the day, it's currency.
I like it. I will admit, someone that goes to data and data. It just depends on the day. So it also depends on the second. Johnny,
It matters.
I have a couple questions for it. Matters? Is that what you said, Kratz?
It matters. It matters. If Johnny says it matters, but I want to know, because it's Jonny Gomes, like, did you ever go into a clubhouse and a reporter come up to you and be like, "Hola, Johnny, ¿qué pasó?" And you're like, no, papi, like, no, I'm not your guy. How many times did that happen?
All the time, especially the home plate umpires when I'd get in the Latin home plate. Be like, ¿Cómo está? Muy bien. Let's have a good one, bud. And I'd lock them up like that. Yeah.
Get you some Yacker Tech.
Yeah. It's Gomes with the S. There's an S in there.
Johnny
good.
Gomez.
Like
Hey, you remember the time we did the WWE thing in Cincinnati? And Titus O'Neil was like, "We got my boy Jonny Gomes here." And I was like, oh.
No. Yeah. Got some relatives rolling in their grave, but it's all right.
It's all part.
Yeah.
Johnny, I'm going to mix in some current event questions. So I'll bring you into the last topic we were on.
Yep.
You get $525 million to go to the Mets, or sorry, $600 million to go to the Mets, or $525 to the Yanks. You are Juan Soto, and the teams are in their current state by the time we get to the end of the season. What would you do?
Well, you never lose sight of the dollar bill, right? It's pretty important. So as much of that as you can get, and believe it or not, your lifespan, you're out of the game a lot more than you are in the game. But I think if you're Juan Soto, I think you need to ask some questions of the longevity of the team, the direction of the team. And like I mentioned right now, I think which is more important than your dollar bill are your prospects. And what are these prospects going to be up to? Are we going to be shopping them for, ready guys right now? Are they going to be called up? I need if I sign a 15-year deal, I need an 8-year window of things that can't go wrong, right? We'll go like Jason Worth when he broke that when he went over to the Nationals, and all of a sudden, boom, yeah, they're rolling, right? What about Chris Bryant, hanging out in Colorado right now? You don't want to do that, right? But there's one anniversary in the game of baseball, and that's a championship. And that can't be taken away. You go to every single ballpark, and you look up, and you see the pennants of the championships. And as many of those as you can get is almost more valuable than the money while you're playing.
Johnny, what do you think about old Angel retiring?
Yeah, I don't know how it's called a retirement, right? I mean, I think they kicked him out.
What do you think about Angel getting fired? Okay.
Yeah, I think the verbiage is a little bit wrong. I mean, yeah, he got bought out and told to go home. I don't know if we're going to see that again, right? I mean, I think that's a first. And is it good for the game? Is it bad for the game? I don't know, man. But I mean, to have this much news over an umpire retiring, getting fired it's a pretty bold move. But yeah, man, I mean, home plate umpire, especially these days when you got guys throwing 100-mile-per-hour off-speed pitches, it's tough, man. I'm biased to them. It's hard, but there should be a gray area in the mistakes. I mean, when we're like 8 inches to 12 off, right? That's tough right now, and things need to get reevaluated. But yeah, man, I hope he got a big chunk of money and he's out there freaking boat shopping and laughing at all of us.
Angel Hernandez rolls up to the boat shop. I want a boat.
Yep.
I'm on my flippy floppies.
Yeah, I want a boat because I got bought out.
Yep, bought out because I quit. But anyway, who's the next guy now? Who's the next Angel? Because it'll always be, for this entire generation, it'll be bad call, Angel Hernandez. Who's the next guy? Who's the next guy up on that list?
Wow, man. I don't know. I hope we can get to a point to start praising the good guys, right? I hope we can get to a point to where it's really cool to be a good umpire instead of it's really get a lot of coverage, social media, blah, blah, for the bad guy. But there's a couple out there. And you know what? I made a point the other day. I mean, just think of like a high baseball IQ, the AA, the AAA guy that leaves. How far are we away from like a ex-minor league ball player, maybe a guy with 1 or 2 years in the big leagues that becomes an umpire, right? Think about that.
That'd be awesome.
No, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants that life. You don't want to go back through the minor leagues for 8 years. Been there, done that.
But I'm telling you, if you got a little like paved way because you played for a little bit, I mean, who doesn't want to get a lot of money for working 2 hours and 40 minutes a day, right? You're flying first class. You got black cars to and from the yard. You got the spread. And you know what happens when you're wrong? Nothing at all, right? They just go to replay and you keep going.
That's right. Oh, that's amazing. That's a great take. Hey, all right. So we had Colton Cowser on yesterday, okay? And you know what he was talking to us about? When he used to work for PG and he used to do the Diamond Cast, right? So I know PG had a couple big tournaments this past week all over the place, but is Yakkertech Magnus now incorporating this into Diamond Cast? And also, will Yakkertech give them the information so that Colton Cowser doesn't have to sit behind home plate and say, well, Johnny's only throwing 82, and the parent goes, on my pocket radar, I got 88. What are you doing?
Yeah, man, that's another avenue that, Yakkertech and Magnus can do is to be able to get these 3D, plots, these 3D strike zones, the path of the ball coming in, the path of the ball going out. Another thing for data is it's really good for fan engagement. It tells the story in a 3D side of things. I mean, imagine sitting behind home plate and knowing exactly if it's in the zone or out of the zone at a 15U ball game, right? Again, holds the umpires accountable, holds the pitcher and the hitter accountable. And again, it's good for player development and it's really good for fan engagement as well.
I agree, Johnny. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that, though. You're going to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry sitting behind home plate going, Mr. Umpire, that ball was a centimeter off the plate. Because, like I said, we have Yakkertech. And I told you, we had an umpire call and say, hey, can I get my report? And we sent it to him. He was pretty good. But can you imagine if every parent back there and, little Jonny Gomes is up there and you're looking on your phone and it goes, oh, that pitch to little Johnny was outside. Johnny's going to be like, that was a ball. Money ball, baby. I need his OPP up for the trophy.
Yeah, it's wild, these parents, these day and age. Not only can they yell at the kid, they can yell at the coach, they can yell at the umpire, but they're comfortable yelling at a robot now, right? These are optical cameras above, each dugout, and they can go ahead and scream at those too, right? But guess what? At the end of the day, the data doesn't lie, right? It's an optical system with Yakkertech, and it's 100% accurate. So when you start yelling at a camera, it's time to reevaluate your whole setup.
All right, we have a couple stat sheets here because when you're killing spread pregame, you're checking out your own stat sheets. You're kind of getting your dig me film. You're like, oh, I'm killing lefties. I hit every lefty really good except for Jason Vargas, but he just kept throwing me changeups, so I never really got many hits off him. But tell us about this report, because this report it's big league. I mean, I don't know if they had this stuff when you were still playing, AJ, but this is what big league teams have, including like the chase zones, the dots, and it is so awesome and easy to digest, in my opinion. But you walk it through it for us.
Yeah, with Baseball Cloud and Yak Attack, that's one thing they've done is tons of work to make it simple for the user, right? I mean, obviously the scouts and the coaches are going to look this a lot of way different. But, look at Dominic Stevens right here. Like, what stands out? Well, the dude saw 4 pitches and smashed 3 of them, right? And then here's the spray chart right here. He's got three of his 4 balls over 90 miles per hour. And look at this little ball out in that left field gap right there. Don't you want that, right? This is now like a living and growing baseball card for this kid that he can have. Now, this kid is a commit like already, but if you're not a commit, how about sending this out to all the colleges? Like, look at the damage I'm doing. I saw 4 pitches. I smashed 3 of them. I'm hitting from 0-0 on. I'm not trying to walk. There's a lot that, tells about a kid right here. And we also have like on the pitching side, which you can break down 1,000 different ways. But this is pretty cool right here, man, right? I mean, this kid can hang on to this report forever and just brag about he almost hit 400 feet.
Hey, by the way, I know who that kid is. So he played with my son at a PG National last year as a catcher.
Shocker.
The Atlanta area.
Shocker, him.
Only reason I don't know him, but my son knows him. He said he was awesome. But I'll tell this is a great story. I know we're showing all this, but there's a kid named Seth. I think his name's Seth Hernandez. I think he's from California. He throws like 100 in there. He's in their class. My son was on deck, and Dominic was hitting before him. And Seth faced 6 hitters, and I think he punched out like 5 of the 6. And Dominic was the last one he punched out, and they were like, nope, that's it. My son was on deck. My son looks at him and goes, what'd you think? He goes, be glad you didn't face him. And they both just shared a great laugh. So, yes, I know who that is, and good for him for hitting balls the way he did. You also have a pitching one, right? A pitching one from
absolutely.
I
believe. With 450 games that got data over the weekend and over 5,000 of these reports, so let's say you're a parent and you pay dues, right? You're all excited. Boom, you're going to go to like Velo, right? But there's so much to break down in this, right? So this is a 14U kid right here. And I want to take you to like release point right there, right? So your release point is where you're releasing the ball, right? And that nice cluster right there, that stands out at 14U. Right? This kid knows what he's doing. Let's go over, on the right side for me, not a lot of balls elevated, right? Not a lot of balls elevated. Nice cluster. Look at his miles per hour differential. What do we got here? We got 11 miles per hour velocity differential. And you know what? If you throw 65 and then you can go, 50 or 48, miles per hour differential, that's okay. We want to chase the radar gun. But would it be known, like these scouts and these colleges and player development and injury prevention, there's a lot to be said right there about that release point. And the tighter that little cluster can get when you're throwing out of the same window, it's really tough on the hitters, not so much the velocity. But then again, how about taking this home, right? Look at these balls up here, the green, the changeup that kind of went up and out. You got the changeup down and in, a lot of the zones. Look at the cluster. He's moving his fastball from the outer half to the inner half around the zone a lot. Look at his horizontal break on his fastball. It's 16.3. There's a lot to be looked at right here. And this is like your little report card, right? And let's get a little bit of growth. Let's get this at 15U. Let's get one of these every month to see where you're ticking. And the velo is going to tick up and it's going to tick down. And when it ticks down, we're going to look at that release point, and then we're going to have to reevaluate before it's too late.
I love it. Johnny, this is the part that I'm going to stress because these guys can talk about data and the mechanics way better, as can you. As someone who played Little League and didn't have good coaching, how effective can this be if you are someone out there who is in a part of the country or just in a town where there's not great coaching, or there's that coach who thinks he knows it all and they don't, that you're able to see this and be like, yo, my release point's money, or yo, my release point is all over the damn place. And my coach is like, oh, everything's good. Everything's clean. Mechanics are clean. Looks good. Keep doing what you're doing. So how helpful can this be to kind of sometimes self-coach? That was the biggest thing that I thought was missing when you don't have the Erik Kratz high school coach or the AJ Pierzynski assistant coach available. I know in the past, though, you've done it. Uh-oh, Jonny Gomes. Johnny, we're going to have to bring you back, dude. It's not just me, right?
No, he was He was frozen.
Yeah. Okay.
Frozen like AJ on the slider.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Made a good run.
Curveball?
Good run. Oh, relog in, Johnny. Relog in. It happens.
Frozen like Scotty Braun in a New Jersey winter.
Frozen like
That's why I
Scotty
said
Braun when the
next
DJ stops playing with his glow sticks. He's like, eh.
Waiting for the beat to drop.
Then he starts going.
Bow.
Did you guys have teammates that were into that?
EDM?
Yeah. You know what's funny?
Right in the head.
Well, same. You know what's funny? Before Johnny comes back,
I don't.
when a team picks up a song that's like a remix or just an electronic music song and they act like they just discovered it, it's like the craziest thing ever. Isn't even Dancing on My Own in Philly, right? Like that's just a remake and it's got a little bit extra to it. And they're like, yo, I'm like, wow, welcome to electronic music.
You feel snobby, like you already knew about this life. Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll be like, yo, it hits. And I'm like, what? Because there's a beat drop and they added a little more production to the back of it. I'm not saying every song needs that. I'm just saying it's funny when that pops up.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I hear you.
Yeah, I feel snobby about that sometimes.
Yeah.
Give Johnny one more minute. Otherwise, we're moving on.
He says he's ready, but when Scott does what he wants, people.
I am ready. Just flow him right back into the conversation. So like Johnny can't talk about.
Johnny,
pick him up.
Electronic music. There he is. All right, Johnny, you're back. Let's finish strong here. I had this long poem about how some coaches suck, and this could be the answer. So, what's your response?
Yeah, man. I'm a firm believer in the best coach you can have is the mirror, right? And when you can look in the mirror and say you've kicked over every single leaf, you said you gave it your all, you've done all this stuff, and then you really start to turn the curve on player development yourself is when you can answer the question why something happened, right? So you can go and you can look at this report and you can answer why, you got your butt kicked in, why you had success, why your changeup sucked. And, the eye test can only get you so far these days, and the data isn't the end all be all by any means, but it is just another tool. And as good as it's gotten to where we are now, especially with Yakutech and the optical system, like this is the holy grail, and this is player development. This answers the question why.
Love it. All right, let's finish with your little tour that you're on, because we didn't get to this last time. Just wanted to give you a sec on it. I want to tell everyone where they can find you, perhaps across the country or across the globe this year, hitting dingers.
Yeah, man. Home Run Derby X, powered by Yakutech too, right? We got to see how far these balls go, especially for the softball players. Super exciting. So we're starting off in August. We're going to Fort Wayne. Then we're taking it to Albuquerque. How about a little bit of Nashville in your life? And then finishing off in Durham, the Durham Bulls. We've done 2 so far statewide and 1, 2, 3, 4 international. All have been sold out. And you know what's cool is like a lot of people's first introduction to baseball is a 9-inning game. So this is just a super cool platform for fan engagement and getting the new fans out, right? It's awesome for like the mom, son, the father, daughter to get out and watch some balls fly, see the softball players on the baseball field at the same platform as some ex-major leaguers and some young influencers. Super cool platform, super cool tour, and you got to check it out if you're in town.
Are you going to lose to Jake Arrieta in any of these competitions? Because I saw he's going to be whacking some dingers, and if you lose to him, we need to make sure there's some type of punishment. I'm saying, I think you still got it. I can see it in your beard that you still got it. So if you lose to him, there needs to be something. And I don't care what the extenuating circumstances are. There needs to be a punishment.
Let me tell you something to get it straight. In a controlled setting of batting practice, Jake Arrieta smashes the ball. totally blow me out of the water when I watched it for the first time. And this dude 100% smashes the ball. And it is not position player versus pitcher with Jake Arrieta. This dude really can hit the ball and can do a very, very impressive batting practice. And he did take home one of them where I think he won actually in Hartford or in Fredericksburg, one of those two. But yeah, he's going to be running it back again. Ian Desmond can still smash the ball. Who else we had? Adrian Gonzalez can smash the ball. But which is really cool is watching these softball gals. I mean, they absolutely smash the ball as well.
They crush it, and they got that backspin swing where it's just like,
Yep.
like hitting Giancarlo Stanton type of bombs.
Yeah, and their back.
Hey, we're back. Johnny gone, but appreciate Jonny Gomes for joining us, and also a reminder to everyone to get more information about Magnus when we talked about it during the segment. Stay smart with Magnus. Get you a Yakkertech, as what Johnny would say. Fueling excellence with insight. Get more info at cmagnus.com. Here we are. Braun, Pierzynski, Kratz. Got about 20 minutes and change until we move on to Friday, at least for our purposes, but a little left to go here before we also get to Dodgers territory with Alana and Clint coming up in a moment. And are we ready for Ump Show? Yeah. Let's do it.
Steer right.
Do we have a double Ump Show? Do we have two from the same game?
We do. Back to back, almost like pretty close to each other. Not back to back innings, but they were pretty close to each other too.
Lead the way. Let's start with the interference that never happens until it happens 5 seconds later.
Well, okay, so first of all, this is base loaded, no outs, I believe, and Stanton's up, and he hits a pop-up on the infield, and we saw it called last week on Andrew Vaughn when the Orioles shortstop Gunnar Henderson got close to him. Well, right here, I mean, I don't know where Soto's supposed to go. I get what the call was made for, but let me ask this question. If he's standing directly on the base like a statue and the ball goes to land on the base, what's he supposed to do? It should be, if this is going to be the rule, then the rule should, first of all, Neto wasn't going to catch that ball anyways if he was where he was. I mean, to me, it almost looked like Neto did it on purpose to get a double play. And I said this at the time on Twitter. At what point are infielders, you don't even have to touch the guy. All you get, the ball can be up in the infield and you can run and be like, oh no, he made me move, and boom, double play. You're automatically out of the inning. So it just, to me, is a hard rule. I get the letter of the law, so everybody on Twitter and everything's going to say, well, the rule says. I get it, but the thing is, people are like, oh, he should have hurried back to the base. Why is he going to hurry back to the base? Again, what happens if he's standing directly on the base like a statue and the ball's coming down and he has to vacate the base, Neto catches it and tags him, then what? I don't know what we're supposed to do as base runners, and I'll give Pedro full credit for this. He said last week, he goes, I've never seen that called. He goes, now that you've seen it, you're going to start seeing it called all the time. Well, this is the second time in like a week that it's been called. And more infielders, if I was an infielder, shit, every time there was an infield fly, I'd just go run by a runner, get close to him and be like, oh no, look at me, knock me down, double play. All right, damn, we're out of the inning. Oops, see you next inning, guys.
I think I know for a fact, if you're on the base and you're not impeding the runner, then it's safe. It's like being foul on the third baseline when a ball's hit. If you get hit, you're out of play. If you're on the base, you have to still move out of the way. That doesn't mean you have to take your foot off the base. You just have to move out of the way.
Where was Soto supposed to go? Where was Soto supposed to go on this one?
He's clearly still off the base. I mean, his foot is on the base, but he turned his back to the play. I mean, you can't sit here and say, well, I know what the rule is, but we have to have common sense. Like, yes, fielders can run into the runner. And that is something that you're allowed to do. Just like in a rundown, in a pickle, a runner is allowed to run into a fielder if he is too close. Like if he slips and falls, or if he's, not getting out of the way. It's just a play that I don't think Neto was trying to run into him. If he was trying to run into him, he almost broke his neck because he
wasn't catching that ball from where he was, though.
I'm not saying he wasn't. That ball. I'm not saying he was or he wasn't catching it. I agree with you. He was way too far away from catching a Giancarlo Stanton pop-up, big league pop-up. But he didn't try to run into him because he hit the ground hard. He was just in a spot where he had gotten too far, and Soto had his back to the play. I'm not saying that
he was looking right at him.
He was anything wrong.
Can we show that again? He did not have his back to it. He was going back to the base. They were fake. Neto was backing up.
Back to Neto.
Can we show that again somehow? Is there a way can we run that again?
Soto and Vaughn both had their back to the fielder.
No. Okay, Vaughn was looking up like this at the pop-up. Watch Soto. Soto doesn't have his back to it. Watch where he is.
What?
Right? He sees the ball, and he's going back, and he sees Neto right there, and Neto's not catching that. Where's he supposed to go? That's on Neto. I'm sorry. See, Soto's on the base, so how is it interference?
Soto's back is to Neto is what I'm saying. Just like Vaughn's back was to Gunnar Henderson, it was just completely opposite.
When the ball goes up as a base runner, I'm supposed to go, oh my God, there's the second base, there's the third baseman. Oh wait, also let me get back. Someone also said he should have slid into the base. No one's sliding. How about we change the rule? Rob Manfred, you've changed a million rules in your term as commissioner. How about when it's infield fly, everyone just gets to go back to the base and cut, and everything else is dead?
Because you still have to make they can't change.
Why do you have to make a play?
Because it's still a live ball. It's just not all of a sudden just a dead ball. Nothing happens. Like that would be.
How many times in your life have you ever seen? And this is no, little league, high school, whatever.
Okay.
Big leagues. How many times have you ever seen a ball go up and it land and something crazy happen and a runner advance and not be thrown out going to the next base? So then why not? Why does it matter? Then just infield fly, dead ball, everyone gets to go back to their base, matters out.
Just automatic dead play.
Again, if I'm an infielder, if I'm a shortstop and the bases are loaded and there's one out and the pop-up goes to the pitcher's mound and I'm behind the runner, I'm running straight into his ass. Boom! Up! Double play, inning's over. We're out of it. Way to go, guys. Why not? If umpires are going to call it. And hell, Gunnar Henderson didn't even hit Andrew Vaughn. He just had to go around him. He still caught the ball. Interference.
I got an over-under on who the first shortstop to be able to make this headsy play is. Carlos Correa is going to be running in on a pop-up and running back. Maybe the runners have to – I'm not saying that I disagree with you, AJ. I'm saying that they may have to just be more aware. Your head has to be on a swivel. And to me, I think both situations for the runner, they did nothing wrong. And so I wouldn't disagree with you that, to me, I don't think on an infield fly, I think the way if you were going to change a rule, there's no interference on infield fly rule. Because it is an out, you're not going to make the play. And it is a controlled play where the fielder is under a pop-up and there's not advancement on that play. So to me, I just think to avoid any problems, like what you're saying, just go and run into the runner at second base, is you can't have interference on that play because it's not like they're trying to turn two. To me, that's why you have interference. That's why you don't have the Albert Bell play. Albert Bell fielding the ball, he just ran over the second baseman. I forget who that was, but Fernando Vina. Like, so that's the intent of it. The intent of it is to not have contact before. But to me, I agree with you. There's no play, so there shouldn't be interference on that play. But I also don't think the umpires are getting it wrong because they follow the rule book to the letter of the law. Common sense or no common sense, I can't say they're getting it wrong.
Let's get to part two. AJ, you want to cue part two with Anthony Rizzo?
Sure. Listen, I love this play. Anthony Rizzo, I love what you did here because I had talked about this for years. Yep. Right? He just slows down. Watch him. He just casually lets it hit his foot. I said for years. Now, I know the ball's dead. If the bases are loaded and there's one out, why would you not do this? Or no outs. Why would you not do this? It's an easy double play. He's just like, oh, I didn't see it. And the best part, DJ LeMahieu, that's a fucking hit. That's a hit. That's a knock. Runners in scoring position. Average up. Like, that's a dead-ass double play ball. They're out of the inning. Why do more guys not do this and just be like, oh, sorry, I didn't see it? You can't tell me he tried to get out of the way of that ball. That was 100% on purpose. And Anthony Rizzo, I love you for it because you're the first person I've ever seen do this. And I don't know why more guys don't do it because it is awesome and it keeps your team in the inning. The inning would have been over. I know they didn't score that inning, but man, it gave Volpe a shot with guys on first and second and 2 outs instead of it being up, inning over. Let's start over. I mean, I love this play. It's I don't know how you fix it, but I love Anthony Rizzo for doing this.
Teammate of the Month award for Anthony Rizzo. And I guarantee you, Joe Madden is up in his cabin in upstate Pennsylvania somewhere going, oh, yeah, I love it. Because you've always heard guys talk about it. I'll bring back a name that maybe only Scotty will remember. Steve LaRude. Steven LaRude was a minor league catcher prospect for the Pirates back in 2009, 2010. He made it up for his one time in the big leagues with the Phillies. Pete Orr was on first base, and Steve LaRude hit one, and Steve was probably getting sent down because Carlos Ruiz was getting activated from the IL, and Steve LaRude hit a ground ball in the one game that he got to play in. At that point, it was one game. And Pete Orr said, he came in and he goes, I should have gotten in the way of that. He goes, what if LaRude never gets a hit in the big leagues? Fortunately, Steve's last at bat, he got a base hit, so he had a hit in the big leagues. But We talked about that, and I thought about it ever since that moment. But it was so awesome that Rizzo got LeMahieu, who doesn't need any more hits. LeMahieu will get a ton of hits, but he kept his team in the game.
Quick follow, then we'll get to Lucy. How easy is it to make that happen? Like when you're in game speed? Because he nailed it, but
it would have been so easy. So many times I was running, I
it
could
is
have just
okay.
Oh, I could have done, because you know how many times you jump over a ball, like you try to time it and you jump over it, you try to distract the shortstop. He just kicked it. It was like, oh, sorry, oops. And if you watch the whole thing, the replay and the whole thing, the Yankees guys were giving him high five when he came into the dugout. They're like, hey, that was way to go, bro.
He's gotten hit by a lot of pitches. Rizzo's not afraid of getting hit by a ball. But if he misses it there, the umpire can call interference, like you can't like stand in front of the fielder and go back and forth and then jump out of the way of it. So they could call interference there. But because it hit him, it's just a dead ball.
Kratz loves interference.
I just love the rules.
That was great debate. It's
Hold
my favorite
on. Before we get to Lucy, Did you know that rule about the pop-up before it happened the other day?
I never thought about it on a pop-up, but I knew the rule of interference. Because we go over this stuff with my players go ahead.
Yes or no? Did you know the rule? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, that you could interfere with the fielder. Like that's common. Like runners can never interfere with the fielder.
So you knew if a pop-up went up and the fielder has to go around you while you're not looking at him or not doing anything on purpose, that he would be called out. You knew that rule. Yeah, just yes or no. That's all I want to know.
Yes.
No chance. Okay, let's get to Lucy.
You can't change. I never thought about it with a pop-up, but you can't manipulate a fielder's like direction that he's going to field a ball.
But that's what you said. The answer was no. All right, let's get to Lucy, because you just said you didn't know on a pop-up. I said on a pop-up.
All right, let's bring in our friend to work with our stepbrothers here. Lucy Burdge joining us right now after the line says hello. Got a new little open with our lion friend.
That's beautiful. AJ, everybody knows that rule. I knew that rule. Everybody knows.
Yeah, sure you did, Lucy. By the way, are you okay today? Because Shohei's not playing, so I don't know what your lock of the day is going to be without no Cassis, no Shohei.
Yeah, that's really where the chaos begins. What will the lock of the day be with none of those guys playing today? So yeah, I was a little bit lost this morning. Woke up a little bit lost, but I think we figured it out. So for my lock of the day, I figured it out.
I was lost, as were many of us last night. I'm in a cold streak right now. No, I know. AJ's on a heater right now. Yes, there you go.
Look at that. Look at Pap.
24, but he's up 263. Yeah, Pap's really good. Pap was talking the talk over the last few months. Like, yo, I got to be in on this, and I got to give him credit. Dude knows what he's doing right now. So we're tight on time today because we have the Dodgers show coming up. So let's run right through it. Lucy, then AJ, then Kratz, and I'll finish strong on our locks. Go ahead. It's all you, Lucy.
Perfect. So I am replacing Shohei Ohtani and Tristan Casas with Matt Olson, Matty O, to hit a home run. He has 1 home run in his last 4 games, get 2 in his last 8 to make it 8 total home runs this year against Trevor Williams. He has 1 home run and a single in 6 at-bats. So he has done this before, and Trevor Williams has given up 2 home runs and 7 runs over his last 3 starts. So I think this is a good spot for Matt Olson to hit a home run.
All right, Lucy. Well, that's a terrible pick. Because I am taking the Nats to beat the Braves tonight because I heard it on the Dodgers game, and this could be a wrong stat, so go ahead and get me. I don't really care. Trevor Williams, when he pitches this year, the Nats are like 9-0 or 10-0 or some crazy number because they said James Paxton had a chance to join him last night. So I'm taking the Nats against the Braves, win money line. It's like it was plus 180, but it went down to plus 165, but it's too good to be true.
Perfect. We go head to head.
No, both can happen.
Matt Olson get a homer as long as it's the only run.
Both can happen.
Totally fine. I love that life for both of you guys. I also love our friend Kevin Pillar facing Carlos Rodon, who throws indoor heaters. He throws a lot of fastballs in, and KP has been crushing lefties and crushing everybody, but he more specifically crushes fastballs in. So I'm going plus 110 for a hit, run, or plus RBI, and it's at over 1.5.
Love that.
Boom, there you go. I'm going to finish with a Nerfy. I am cold. I'm trying to get back on track. The Mets are colder than me, and I think they will be cold in the first inning against Zach Gallen, who's been on a nice heater in first innings lately. And also I looked at Christian Scott with Nerfies. He's 3-1. Gallen is 7-3 on Nerfies. Both have been pretty good with runners in scoring position. Both prevent walks. Kind of all that adds up to a minus 150. Heavy for me to look at and lay down, but I got to do it. And it started at like minus 130, and I just saw betting social people that I follow all jumping onto this. So I'm like, screw it. I'm in. 150 to win a hundo. Let's get back on track. And those
Very
are
nice.
our locks. Yeah.
Good to fade the Mets to do anything. To just take
I
them to
agree.
not do it at this point.
They do not have the vibes, the karma.
No.
They don't have any of that going for them right now. They might be pissed and go gangbusters and score 8 in the first inning now just because of that, but I doubt it.
I will say though, I have seen guys in person throw their glove into the stands, and they didn't get DFA'd. I saw Rich Garces do it my first game ever at Fenway, and he didn't get DFA'd. He still played for them next season. Saw Aguapo throw his glove into the stands, and that was my first experience. Amazing. And so I'd say do the opposite of DFA him, keep him, because that's entertainment, baby.
I agree. Hey, well said. We're all on
you.
the same page on this one, and I've seen takes out there already calling out Lopez and being like, you can't do this, whatever. And I'm like, screw those takes.
You should be able to do that. You're the one that loses your glove. Again, a fan has the best day of his life. So I think that all around, everybody wins. So I don't get it. Don't DFA him.
Lucy, did you see Pap last night? Did you go to the Hall of Fame last night? Did you see Pap?
I saw the glamour shots of him that they took and the Red Sox put on his Instagram. Woof! His fit was fire. So yeah, good for him.
So was his haircut, because he did his locks from the barbershop yesterday. So, yeah, we love our Boston people.
Love it.
Lucy, you're the best. Great to have you. We'll have you again in a couple weeks. All right.
Perfect. You guys are the best, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you. Good luck on your picks. Yes,
good
and
luck.
your bets.
See you.
Thank you. All right, here's Jamie Foxx taking over. The first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets when you place your first wager. If you're new to the BetMGM Sportsbook app or the website, when you sign up and deposit at least $10 into your account, you can receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your bet loses, and those bets would be available once your initial wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's slap. Good juice. Good show today. A lot of beef. I like it. Couple shout outs to one good, one bad. Blake Perkins was the man. I mean, in one inning, a home run and home run robbery, and then another diving catch later on. And then he was super honest after the game, just being like, yeah, the homer's still better. Just all around a perfect day for him. Just wanted to shout that out because we didn't have time for it. Agreed?
Great post-game interview. Absolutely.
Yes. Dude nailed it. And then hopefully Alek Manoah is okay. Had some elbow issues, left the game. He said it felt really pinchy when he would extend fully through a pitch. Said it sucks. Dealt with a lot of this shit the past year to get back to this point. So hopefully he's okay. Man, he has gone through it. I do hope that he's okay. Our game's better when Alek Manoah is on the mound. Agreed?
Agreed. And pinchy is not, I don't know if I've ever really heard people say pinchy, but it doesn't, you feel like a snap, you feel a pop, so maybe pinchy is okay, and he just did something that's not the Tomas Jonas, but it's just that's what our mind goes to.
Yeah, it does. Kratz, that's what he got.
Scrampton Rail Riders, as I'm sticking with the theme. I'm sticking with the theme for the Memorial Day weekend. So I'm gonna push it Memorial Day week. How about that? Like saying Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Maybe I didn't see you. Happy New Year.
Everything with USA is an A for me. AJ, right?
Yeah, I like that one. It's a B. It's a B for me.
Okay.
It's good.
But I know we love USA. We do. They're an A anytime I see red, white, and blue on a hat. But we are sending our little buddy overseas. He's traveling abroad.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to float down the Thames just like that.
Do it. Do it.
You won't.
It's going to be a little chilly over there, so I don't know that I'm going to do it. But I mean, at least I'm close. I'm in Seattle on Saturday and then London the next day, so it's close. Easy flight, simple flight.
Real story. You're in Seattle and then you have to fly to London.
Seattle game Saturday. Well, I'm flying to Tampa to pick my son up who has a game Sunday, and then I'm leaving on Tampa on Sunday to London for the week.
So that is not going to be AJ. AJ is going to be like this.
Hey. I travel. I don't get jet lag, bro, because I can sleep on a plane. So I travel good.
Same for me. I don't. Maybe that's a baseball thing. I don't know, but I do not get jet lag. Besides going to Japan, I did get it in that sense, but it was gone in 45 minutes.
You guys are pros. You're on. I mean, how many flights have you taken in your life?
And plus, 2,000? If I'm tired, I can just take a teaser.
That's true. A little energy boost. I like that. Done. I like that plug. Well, AJ, have fun, dude. We will talk to you after next week.
I'll let you guys know what Princess Kate says, okay? How she's feeling, how her treatment's going.
Give us the whole royal update because I don't know anything about them, but yes, hope she gets well soon too. Dodgers territory coming right up. You don't have to do anything. If you're watching the show right now, you just hang back and we flip right to Alana and Clint for you. So we will see everyone from this show, besides AJ, on Friday.
On location.